Thank you everybody for coming out today to the talent show and kids market. We've got all sorts to see today. We've got authors at the very front. If you want to meet a local author, we've got a face painter and ornament making, who they happen to be our judges today too. Yes, let me go ahead and announce the judges. We've got Jeff Gaffin, he's a performer at the Tulsa Spotlight Theater. There he is, yeah. And we've got Caleb Phillenstein, there you go. He does guitar and vocals musician. We have Jessica Woody, who is my sister. She's a mixed media artist and author. We've got Lyndon Graves. She's a freelance painter and makeup artist. And we've got Alexa Hacker, former classical ballerina. Okay, so, and we had a lot of great local artists and authors that donated some prizes today. And so we've got those today to hand out. We've got first, second, third, and fourth place prizes for each age group. But to kick off the talent show, we're going to go ahead and start with Jenni White. She's, if anybody's familiar with Reclaim Oklahoma Parent Empowerment, she's a former homeschooler, she's a freedom fighter, and we're going to hear a little bit about her thoughts on homeschooling and the freedoms and liberties that we have. So let's give a hand for Jenni White.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you guys for being here today. It is such, this is a God thing, because we've only had 44,000 inches of rain. So, being here now, and we're not in an ark, and it's just great. So this is great. So Andrea asked me to be here today because she wanted me to talk a little bit about homeschooling. And so I have homeschooled all of my kids. I had, and I actually even homeschooled the child of a friend of mine who was a single mother, and she didn't have any place to put her child other than public school, and that kind of gave her heartburn. And her daughter was the same age as my daughter, and they had been in things together, and so we literally did homeschool together, and she kind of grew up with our family, and we all did homeschool. I graduated her from her own homeschool inside my homeschool. So I think the thing about homeschooling, other than the fact that it's extremely flexible, the thing about homeschooling is this: in a world where it gets bigger, and as it gets bigger, it seems to compress, and we talk less to one another, and we become more siloed and more compartmentalized. And in that kind of a world, we need kids who can see a very broad view of things, who can see a very broad horizon. And unfortunately, in public schools today, we just don't get that broad horizon. They've gotten rid of band, they've gotten rid of so many art projects, and all of these things are important to a well-rounded person who can make really good choices for themselves. So I loved homeschooling. I have a master's degree in biology, and I taught for 10 years in the public system before I came home and brought the kids home, and we did homeschooling. And there's absolutely, I'll tell you one downside to homeschooling that I've just found out recently. So when you're homeschooling your kids, it's a 24/7 job. I mean, you get up in the morning, you go to bed with them, you get up with them, it's a 24/7 job. When they leave, it's tough, because you didn't realize that you were quite so attached at the hip. So, but one of the problems that we're having today is this: we have a government that likes to meddle in a lot. And one of the things that they've decided they want to meddle in a little bit is homeschooling. And it's, in a way, it sounds like a great thing. Well, we're homeschooling. The state says, here, take some money. We'll give you a little bit of money to be able to homeschool your kids. Well, I'm here to say that that's not, lots of things that sound good aren't great. And this is one of those. And I'm just going to say one thing, and that's historical, because we don't want to talk in rhetoric. We want to talk in history. So I've been following this for about 15 years. The state of Arizona is the first state in the nation that decided to go with school choice. And when I mean school choice, it means the whole package of school choice. I'm happy for you to choose where to put your kids. I think it's totally great. I think you should be able to choose as a parent where to put your kids. But when the government comes in and says, here, we'll give you something for doing that, that's a different thing. Then you've lost your autonomy, because now you're involving the government, even at the small level it is right now, which is just $1,000. But in Arizona, what happened when the homeschoolers in Arizona took the money from the government and they decided they wanted that tax credit, they had a governor that came in and reversed his position on it. And now, instead of being a free homeschooling state, you now have to provide your curriculum to the state. You now have to take the state tests. You now have to jump through a number of state hoops that we here in Oklahoma do not have. We are the freest state in the nation for homeschooling, okay? The absolute freest. The only place we can go from that is down. And we don't want to do that. That's not what we want to do. So I'm really kind of counseling you and urging you today, when you talk to your friends who are also in the homeschooling community, please let them know. We're not trying to keep them from getting their money back. You know, I totally understand that. I can't stand that they take it from me in the first place by force, by putting me in jail or taking my house. I don't like any of that. But the problem is that they do. And the only thing that can happen if we take that is that they'll get even more control over us than they have in terms of taxes as a general rule. So I'm asking you today, just begging you basically, when you talk to your friends, please tell them, it sounds great, it's one of those sounds great but isn't great things, you know, let's avoid that. And there's a petition actually that's going around today, and I think Andrea still has it, and we're trying to get homeschoolers to sign a petition saying that we would like to be removed from the tax credit. So if you would see Andrea, if you haven't already signed it, please see her and sign it. But otherwise, please just believe me when I say, we here in Oklahoma, I can't tell you the number of people that I know who have literally moved here from this state. I have a neighbor who's from California who literally moved to Oklahoma, not just even to get away from the politics in California, but because she wanted to be a homeschooler and have the freedom that we have in Oklahoma. So if people are literally moving from other places in the nation to Oklahoma simply for homeschooling, you and I and everybody else who is 100% convinced that homeschooling is the best possible way to educate a child, those of us who believe that have got to lose our inhibitions about talking about it, and we need to stand up and make sure that we can keep that particular thing safe for not just our kids, but for their kids. And we've got to think long term here. So that's pretty much all I've got to tell you today. It's got to stop and think. We are the freest state for homeschool. When you talk to your friends, let them know that. We're the freest state. We just have to keep it that way. So thank you, Andrea, for having me, and I appreciate you giving me the time to tell them that. So now my commission to you is to go out and make converts of all your other homeschool friends. So have a beautiful day and blessed day. It's a beautiful day. So thank you.
Thank you so much.